What's poppin', y'all? We are back for Joseline's Cabaret episode 2, season 5. Me and Movie Bay was talking about this in our own little social, in our own little DM. Somebody on social media said this episode of Joseline's Cabaret was better than all of Baddie's Caribbean last season. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? I do not disagree at all. But yeah, this episode was good. It was a lot going on. I love the editing of this episode. It was particular in the middle of the episode. But yeah, good. I'm loving this season. If y'all are new here, please subscribe. I am on the road to 5K. I want to get that done by the end of the year. Then we like 200 away, so let's try and do that. Also, just go ahead and leave me a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below. Just say what's up. Let me know you here. If you want to get back in the comments as you watch the video, when you have thoughts, drop those down below. But like I say all the time, interactions help with the channel. It helps push the video out. Once y'all interact with the video, which is a thumbs up and a comment down below, helps YouTube push the video out and get me in the algorithm. But that's what we're trying to do. But yeah, enough of that. Let's go ahead and get on into this episode because we got a lot to talk about. All right, so I skipped the first 3 minutes because as we know with Zeus, they like to pack in a big stupid intro regardless of the show. Like they do it with Baddies. They have that long stupid 2-minute intro. Here we got the recap from last week, and then we got the damn Joseline's music video for Domino. Fast forwarding through it. I'm not doing that. Let's get to the goods. So we get back to the party where we left off with Dani trying to headlock Wet Wet. Security tries to unhook the both of them. They're locked on each other at this point. They're on each other's hair. Wet Wet had more of a secure grip on Dani's wig because Wet Wet's wig was already off at this point. I hope this shit is focused. Wet Wet's wig was already off at this point, and Dani couldn't pull nothing. So that's your own fault, Dani. Like, it is what it is. And I hope this shit is clear. It's throwing me off right now. Hold on. But then when they let them go, Dani's sitting there hyping up her weak ass shit that she just did. Like you barely did anything. Talking about something, I just had to put her in a headlock. You barely did anything. But Wet Wet and Andraya, they're going back and forth again. Andraya then pulls up some weak ass post up doing this. You can't fight. Let's keep it real. But she's sitting in her confessional trying to act like Judy with that Judy from Bad Girls Club with the voodoo doll. They decide to run another round. Wet Wet tries to kick. Andraya then tries to lock arms with her. Wet Wet gets her wig. Then Andraya, actually when she got her wig at this point, she started throwing some punches. They connected, but security was all over them. They got broken up. Wet Wet starts twerking and stuff because we all know, regardless of the situation, Wet Wet is going to have a ball and not take any of it seriously, which is why I love her. But Isis is pretty much saying that her confessionals, or at least she either said it in the confessional or in the scene, I can't remember exactly, but she says, like, give it a rest. Aren't y'all tired at this point? Yeah, she said it in her confessional. But they go again. At this point, they're wrestling, like they tumbling around, and they by the pool. I was waiting on one of them to fall in, if not both of them. But Drea did ended up parking Wet Wet on the side at one point, and she did start swinging and connecting, unfortunately, because I don't like her. I don't like Dani. I love Wet Wet, so anytime they get into a fight, I hope Wet Wet wins, even though she can't fight. But they can't fight either, if you want to ask me. But Joseline then stops them from going another round because they was about to go another round after they got broken up. Joseline then starts talking about how she now feels like Wet Wet might not have been the best decision to bring to come back, as Ballistic was pretty much saying, because of how she's fighting all these girls. I'm like, but they came at her. The fight started because Andraya swung on Wet Wet when she was explaining herself as to why her and Andraya was getting into it on the bus. Her and Andraya and Dani. So take that shit up with Andraya. Like, she's talking about, that's one of my star dancers. Okay, well, take that up with your star dancer. Like, Wet Wet didn't start it. But Joseline then tells them no more fighting or whatever. And Wet Wet was like, she attacked me first. I'm going to always defend myself. I said exactly as you should. But she said no more fighting out of the two of them tonight because she got to see the other ladies who are here for the cabaret, a.k.a. the new girls. Wet Wet says, okay, well, then give me a shot so we can cheers to the 50K. Joseline said that she wants both her and Andraya to cheers to it. They do it. They hug it out. Whatever. We move on. Joseline then tells everybody to clap it up because they did make up and hug up and get... Because at this point, y'all, like what Tasiki said last night in the Baddies episode, if y'all don't fight for real, I don't feel like there's a reason to continue to do it. Because if you can't fight, what's the point in continuing to do it? So I'm glad they did do this. But Raven ends up saying she don't want no smoke with nobody because of her PTSD from getting choke slammed by Joseline last season. But Joseline then says to Wet Wet and Drea to go ahead and go on upstairs and get cleaned up because they look a mess at this point. So Joseline tells him to do that. And as Andraya is walking by, you got Isis who was holding Andraya's wig. And what does Andraya do with that wig? She snatches the wig. The way Isis reacted, you snatch something out of my hand, regardless if it's yours or not, I'm going to have an issue with that too, because I feel like that's rude. And the way Isis was holding it, she wasn't really doing anything, even though we later find out what she was thinking about that wig. But in the moment, she wasn't doing anything to make you want to snatch your wig from her, because you don't even know her. So Isis, being like any other normal human being, was like, girl, I'm not Wet Wet. Snatching shit from me is not going to get you too far. But Isis then said that wig stank, which I can believe it. Drea is clearly mad that it stank. She says she would have washed it. She should have washed it before she ended up installing it on her head. But Drea then starts walking away, talking tough, saying that Isis don't scare her. Isis says, but you don't want to try me, though. But Drea is walking around talking about bye, like I'm not scared of you. And Isis said, I will dog walk you and I will throw you in that pool. She's like, no, you won't. You won't do it. Bye, bye, bye. Isis said, but you still walking and you keep walking, bitch. Like, keep walking. But Dre's in her confessional saying that she don't know what she got going on spiritually, but keep that far from her. I'm like, but you the same bitch is sitting in here with a damn voodoo doll. But you talking about you don't worry. You worried about what she got going on spiritually. Something ain't right with you. But Isis ends up telling Joseline that she was trying to hand her stank ass wig. And Joseline's looking amazed at everything that's going on. But Dani and Drea, they in the house. Dre's putting that stank ass wig back on her head. Dani, which has been passed around with multiple different women. Raven even had it on her head at one point. That's why I like, with the whole sharing of wigs and stuff, I just don't feel like that's sanitary. But Dani's sitting there talking about, fuck that bitch. She lucky she didn't get in the pool. I'm like, but you can't fight. Like, and you little, like, you might be able to get one over on Wet Wet, but any of them other girls that was there at that pool, you not beating any of them, in my opinion. But the rest of the girls, they're now circling around Joseline because she's pretty much trying to get ready to mingle with the new girls. So Joseline then lets them know that Wet Wet is their house mom. She says she's embarrassed that she got to introduce her like this, but it is what it is. Wet Wet is dancing. She's not embarrassed. She's dancing and acting like her normal self, saying that ain't no bitch gonna send her home. Diamond then says that she don't need a house mom. She said, I got everything that I need. Wet Wet said, well, I still got to wake you up, bitch. Isis then asked them how they feel about the new girls, and she's asking the OGs how they feel about the new girls possibly coming in and taking their spots. Raven says, you ain't taking mine. Isis says, I bet you I will. She pretty much saying, like, at this point, you can sit here and be comfortable all you want, but I'm going to still take your spot, and you're going to sit here being comfortable. I'm going to go ahead and do enough to take your spot. But Diamond ends up saying that she's been there since day one. Neek says, okay, but what did you do? Valid question, because I don't remember her really dancing like that. But Raven ends up saying these new girls in her confessionals saying they're delusional because they don't know how to handle Joseline like the OGs do, which that can be true. But if you ask me, looking at these new girls, they are all finer than every single one of them girls that are there from the OGs, if you ask me, except for Stiff Face. She scares me. I want her to go home because every time they pan that camera to her, and if you don't know who I'm talking about, you should know who I'm talking about. I can't even think of her name right now, but she's the one with the face that has clearly a lot of work done. But she looks like some type of character from a horror movie. I can't think of what it is. Y'all tell me if y'all know what I'm talking about down below. But she scares me. Every time they put the camera to her, I'm like, take the camera off her. But everybody else, like I said, they all look good. Like, they all look good. They all fine. They beautiful women. And you can tell a lot of them know how to dance. So I can see them replacing a couple of these girls. But like I said, that all can be true. Like, you might be able to handle Joseline better, but what's going to bring Joseline more money in the club? The baddies, the baddies and the ones that can dance, the ones that's going to make men want to throw that money and women throw that money. Like, let's keep it real. But Neek says that we might be new, but I'm going to come up in here and pop my shit the same way y'all think y'all was popping y'all's. Diamond says, I love the confidence. Pretty much very condescendingly saying that. Like, she didn't say I love the confidence in a positive way. She said it like, okay, well, I love that you confident. I'm glad that you are confident, but it's not gonna do nothing. But Neek says it's above you with that Baltimore accent. Neek is my favorite. Like I said, she fine as fuck. Like, that woman is beautiful. And we find out later on that she got them hands too. Like, she's perfect. And she's from Baltimore. Like I said, Maryland women, if you ask me, are top tier. There's a lot of women from a lot of different states that are bad, but I feel like Maryland brings out the best ones. You got her, you got Seven, There's multiple. But she said it's above you. Diamond says it's not. Neek says it is. Diamond says that's why I'm here a third time. And she then says, anyways. Neek says, anyways, bitch. Like, they're not scared of these OGs, and I love it. I love it. But Neek says that she's not intimidated by any bitch. None of them are competition to her. There's no lie to that. If you ask me, like I said, I think she's the baddest one here. But Neek ends up saying, next. Diamond says, you ain't next and shit. Neek says, next, bitch, next. Like, she's not cowering to them. Her and Isis right now are the two that are kind of having issues with the OGs. And they ain't scared of them. They stand in their ground, and I love it. And Isis is movie-based favorite. Neek is my favorite. Like, I love the fact that they're actually really doing it. But Isis says, it ain't gonna be no shit, but I'm a pop mine. I'm confident in who I am. I know I'm the coldest dancer out this bitch. Pretty much letting it be known to them girls that she knows who she is. She knows what she's worth. She ain't scared of none of them. Lexi says something. I can't remember what she said, but Isis said, but you, just because you got ass don't mean shit. That is true. You can have ass, but if you can't dance, you can't dance. But out of nowhere, Chinx ends up saying, so we don't got a problem no more. I'm like, ooh. And that's what the rest of the girls said, ooh. But she was talking to Lexi Gold. Lexi says, but you coming behind me, I don't even know you no more. So it's clear, like we said, they know each other, but they trying to act like they don't know each other because they have issues with each other. But Chinx says, I don't know you. Chinx then says something ain't, she says something because, what did she say? She said something. She said, I ain't tiptoeing around. She said, I had to say something because I'm not tiptoeing around her knowing that we got beef. Lexi then says, like, it's that club shit. Y'all was stop. I was literally rewinding this part particularly to understand what they were saying. But I think Lexi said that it's that club shit. She said, y'all stop dancing. You ain't around me no more. You gone. Chinx said, but I was just making sure that you was good, aka like checking your temperature. Lexi then says that you know some lame shit, yada, yada, yada. Chinx then says, you know to keep it cute. Lexi says, no, you know to keep it cute. That's why you stepped outside that circle and didn't come in. So Lexi is pretty much stating that they were sharing the same nigga at this point. That's what I'm gathering from it. So they both start getting ready to throw down. Like Lexi's pulling her hair back while Chinx is over there taking her shoes off. So they both start talking about how they got a nigga who was pimping each other. They was pimping, the nigga that they were sharing was pimping each one of them out using their money. That's essentially what they're saying. But Fetish, we find out Fetish is friends with both of them and also knows the nigga that they talking about, which is what I love. I love the fact that we got two different stories, two different women telling two different stories, but we also got the middleman who knows the truth. Because we all know there's two different stories, but there's three sides to every story. There's one person's story, there's one person's story, and there's the truth. Fetish will give us the truth. Love it. Love it. We got storylines. Some baddies don't know nothing about. But Fetish says that like she knows the truth, and both girls, they lock in and start swinging. And both of them is swinging. They both start locking up. Weight class, they both in the same weight class. It's an even matchup if you ask me. I couldn't really tell who was doing much of anything. Both of them was swinging, like I said, at the same time. Both of them was kind of getting each other on the ground at the same time. Joseline was cracking me up because mid watching this fight, she proceeds to ask Erica, are they fighting? I'm like, do you not see what's in front of you? But they start rolling around on the steps in front of her. Like I said, both of them seem to get the same amount of licks in on each other. Lexi gets up. Her lip is busted, though. Hers is busted and bloody. Diamond said that she don't want to fight either one of them because they big. Yeah, because you scared. But Joseline says that was a serious fight. She don't want to get into it with either of them because also they in the same weight class as Joseline, and they kind of have the same type of style, fighting style as Joseline. So it'd be interesting to see if either one of them got into it with Joseline, because I don't think it would be as easy for Joseline as it typically would be. But Joseline pretty much wants to know if they will let it go. Lexi says, I've been let it go. I ain't worried about that hoe. Chinx says she don't want it though. Joseline says, but you the instigator talking to Chinx. And I'm like, yeah, she is. Because you can tell Lexi don't really care about Chinx, but you can tell Chinx wants to have an issue with Lexi and she wants to address that issue. Funny for the show, honestly, but it is funny. But Joseline tells them no more, don't do it no more. Joseline's now telling them to pretty much resume partying, and that's what they do. They start twerking, everybody's twerking, getting naked, everybody's in the pool, some of the girls are kissing on each other. So they finish the party. Joseline brings them back together, giving them the outline of what the show is this season. The competition is going to start tomorrow. There's $50,000 on the line. She then says the minute that they disrespect her, come for her, do whatever that she don't want them to do, they're going home. Neek says, can I ask a question? Joseline says, no, zip it. And Neek starts giggling, laughing, and says, okay. Joseline then says that she wants them to go to the hotel, get ready for tomorrow because they're moving into the house. They got a pool party tomorrow as well. But some of them bitches are leaving tomorrow. She's sending some of them home. So Joseline then asks Erica what she thinks. Joseline then says that Lexi and Chinx competed for the 50K already right now with that UFC style fighting. Wet then says, like, are y'all gonna shake it out? Pretty much asking Lexi and Chinx, like, y'all just did all this, but are y'all gonna shake it out? AKA being what I think a house mom would do. Like, I feel like she's there to make sure the girls are good, cohesive, not doing too much. If they have beef or whatever, I feel like she's supposed to be there to be the middleman, or at least to try and figure out a way to stop them from doing it so that Joseline don't have to do it. That's what I think. That's what it is, which with her asking that question is a valid question. Joseline gets to being rude, telling her to shut the fuck up and get back. I'm like, is that not what she's there for? Like, what do you want her to do? But the next day, Joseline and Ballistic, they pull up to the house. In my opinion, it's the best house that I've seen on Zeus. I feel like it was the most furnished house that they've ever had on any of their shows that I've watched. But they go looking around the house. Joseline wants them to not fuck up the house because that's where they're going to be living, and she's going to be living there as well. But the girls, they are getting on the party bus from the hotel. The girls look good. Drea then comes in there. She says that she got good rapport with most of the girls except for one, a.k.a. Isis. But back with Joseline, they keep going back and forth from Joseline to the girls. But I like the way they're doing it because Joseline is kind of talking about situations that is going and unfolding on the bus. But we'll get to it. But Joseline's pretty much saying that she feels like the girls don't deserve this type of house because of how ghetto and hood rat acting they were at that masquerade party. And she says she feel like they don't appreciate nice things. I'm like, Joseline, you just as ghetto and hood rat as they are. Like, and you know what the show is based off of. Like, you know they're going to be fighting. Like, I don't know why you acting like it's something that's completely foreign. Like, they've watched the seasons of the show. They know what to expect. But back at the bus, Wet is being funny, telling, this had me hollering. She told Spicy Moni, like, she's like, it's hot in here. Some of y'all is fully clothed in here. And she's one of the ones that had on some tights. And she tells her, she said, you're not showing off them thunder thighs. These are some ham hocks. I started dying laughing when she said that shit. Wet is so funny. I love her and I hope she stays. She better not be going home. But Joseline, then we get back to her. She's talking about Monica, who is Spicy Moni now. Pretty much talking about how she's not standing out. She said pretty much like, online, she looked like a completely different person than who she is in real life. Pretty much saying like she catfished me online. I feel like I don't know if she's saying that from the physical appearance, or maybe she looks like she was more of a life of the party online than what she was given last night. But Isis then calls out Andraya. She said, what's up? Like, what it is. Like, what it is. Andraya then says, Isis, you started it. And Isis said, I ain't started shit. Drea says, I don't even know you. Like, when me and Wet was doing whatever we was doing, you said something. Isis said, what did I say? And I'm sitting there thinking, what did she say? Because she didn't say nothing, at least from what I saw. Like, you snatched the wig from her, and that's when she started to say something. But Drea says, you acting like you got amnesia. You was talking about my wig. Isis said, yeah, it stank. I was like, if it stank, it stank. And she said, I gave it to you, and you had something to say. Andraya then says, I did, but what's up? Like, why are you mad? Isis said, you acted like you wanted to, and then she gets up too, because Isis is standing up at this point. Dani is right there next to Andraya. She points her out too. She said, and you acted like you wanted to jump in. So what's up? Basically, Dani, you trying to act tough, trying to jump me. What's your issue too? And if you got it, let's get it off. But Drea is saying that Isis wanted camera time, whatever, who cares? But like I said, Isis is standing up at this point, and I'm like, please don't fight on this bus. Because the bus was not parked. Like, I had one fight in my life on a bus, but it was parked. When you're on a moving vehicle, anything moving and you're fighting, you're at a disadvantage because you can't catch your footing unless you're like a super duper balanced person. You can't keep your footing, and then you fall, you might be at a disadvantage. But they get up and square up. They start rolling around. Isis then got on top of Andraya and was swinging and connecting. So the round one, I gave that to Isis. The second round, Andraya got Isis in a headlock, and it was a nice one. I'll give it to her. I don't like her, but it was a nice one. So I give round two to Andraya, but security broke them up. Dani's punk ass starts screaming, get her, Drea, get her, Drea. Yeah, it's funny that you saying that because you got in a minute. But we go back to Joseline, who's now recapping it. She's pretty much saying like Wet and Drea They love what did she say? She was talking about them. She was talking about how Drea and Isis were going back and forth. And they start going back and forth in between security. Like, they're arguing back and forth. Lexi then says that she be zoning out when Drea be talking because all she doing is hollering like we children. And she said, we all grown women here. Like, sit your ass down because you ain't doing shit. I said, that's the truth. Like, it is. Sit down. But Wet Wet then says to Isis that Dani said square up. Like, Wet Wet is in here. She instigating, but she giving us good TV. Like, she's giving us good TV. So she's pretty much trying to egg that fight on. Isis said when we get off the bus. At this point, Isis realized it's no point for me to sit here and try and fight you when we're on a moving vehicle. So why would I do it? But she pretty much said, like, when we get off the bus. Dani's now getting in the middle trying to feel tough, trying to antagonize somebody like she can actually fight and like she actually scares somebody. Talking about something you don't want it. I said, she's not scared of you. Like, be for real. But she then tells Isis to come on. Isis said we can do it when we get on the ground, not on this bus. Valid. Like, I'm not scared of you, but I'm not about to literally be fighting you on a bus and possibly end up losing my balance and then you get on top of me. Please, be for real. But Dani then says, she said, you scared I'm going to attack you? Isis said, ain't nobody scared of you. Dani said, get up so I don't attack you, and starts telling her to square up and start skipping towards her. Isis got up. Isis threw that bitch on that chair, gave her one nice look, and you could tell Dani caught it. But then when she got on top of Dani might have had like tried to get like maybe one or two swings in on her. But Isis's head was like this. I don't know if Dani had a grip of her hair, but regardless, Isis's right hand was boom, 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 right up in Dani's face. I was like, she fucking her up. So as she was doing that, and that's how you know she was fucking her up, because guess what? Andraya then decides she want to try and jump Isis. So as she's doing that, a couple of the other girls, the blonde girl who I cannot remember what her name is right now, the other one outside of Lexi Gold, she comes running from the back to help Isis, as does Jayla, who is sitting behind them trying to help Isis, aka because they trying to jump her. So at this point, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, nobody should be getting jumped. And if you trying to jump, then we gonna jump you. That's the way I am. Shit. Like I always say, like, if I see somebody getting jumped, I'm jumping in. Regardless. But like I said, the new girls get on top of it. Jayla said that she got up because, like, what are you jumping for? I'm like, exactly. But back at Joseline, she's talking about everything that happened last night. She's wondering how they're acting on the party bus on the way over there. I was just like, so ironic because they're acting a fool. But back on the bus, Drea and Dani, they're screaming, talking shit. Oceans, I don't like her. Oceans bitch ass started talking about something. Okay, well, I got an issue with y'all not shutting the fuck up last night. Talking about Neek and Jayla. And she says in her confessional, is this my time to shine? Okay, yeah, you're trying to do some shit for camera time. And then you doing it looking like a lapdog, but we'll get to that in a minute. But she said that she was standing by them talking when Joseline was trying to speak. And Neek said, who? Like, who do you have an issue with? Who? Ocean says you, because you wouldn't shut the fuck up when Joseline was talking. I said, get off Joseline's dick. Like, you ain't been there maybe all of 24 hours. Like, the minute you do something that Joseline don't like, she's damn sure she might fuck you up. So why are you worried about it? And then Neek in the scene, she barely even said anything. She asked the question and Joseline told her no, and she did not say anything else. So am I missing something that wasn't shown? But Wet Wet says, so you gonna run it because she's calling you out, talking to Neek, being messy. But Neek says she don't want pretty much the same type of shit Isis was on. She's like, I don't want to fight it because it's stupid. No, I'm gonna do it every time. The Baltimore accent, anytime I hear it, I'm going to address it. But she said it's stupid. I don't want to fight because it's stupid. But you calling me out, so fuck it. That's the same shit I always say. If I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight. I'm not gonna fight. But if you're trying to call me out and trying to punk me, I'm gonna give you what you ask for, regardless if I want to do it or not. But Neek's fine ass, she tied her hair back. Oh, she's talking about something. Should I run up? She's watching her do it. Should I run up right now or should I just let her get up and be ready? I'm like, well, that's your own fault because Neek finished and got to swinging on that ass. Started, like she snatched her, gripped her up, pulled her on the couch, was throwing them hoes. A fine woman that know how to fight. Yeah, she perfect. But security ends up breaking them up. Ocean's trying to taunt like she actually did something in this round. She says that her point was to let the cast know that nobody disrespects the Puerto Rican princess. Bitch, who cares? And these women look like they don't give a fuck. Like, if they got an issue with you and they got an issue with Joseline, most of them look like they will actually address it. And I can't wait for somebody to get her. But Wet Wet then asked, like, what is the beef? Neek says she put her hands on me, so that's the beef now. Simple. It's that simple. But she says, I'm going to keep on talking. Pretty much told her, like, you did this, but I'm going to still keep doing what I'm doing. As you should. But Neek said, run that shit, bitch. So Ocean then comes over there and starts trying to tie, like, they literally started trying to tie each other's hands up at this point. And Neek ends up getting up in the air, which is where, like I said, and the bus is moving at this point. She ends up getting in the air. Oceans took advantage of it. Neek lost balance, got on her back. Oceans got on top of her, started swinging on top of her. She ain't doing enough damage because Neek still got up looking like the bad bitch she is. But that's why, like I said, that's why you don't fight on a moving vehicle. But Neek ends up saying, I'll see you outside then, basically. But Wet then asks, what's up with Jayla? Because it's clear you don't like bitches that jump. Bitches that jumped in, get jumped. She said, I respect it. That's the MO of the seasons. I said, talk about it, Wet, because that's the truth. Wet then says that she respects her, but she says, is there any beef when y'all get off the bus? Jayla then directs herself to Oceans and says, so you got beef with me and Neek? Ocean says, I just had an issue with y'all talking too much when Joseline was talking. Jayla got up and immediately started swinging. But she lost her balance. I was so mad. I'm like, damn, I wanted you to do your big one because she was about to do it too. But she lost her balance, got on her back, and Oceans, I don't like her, but she was getting her. I was like shaking my head. But security broke them up. Joseline then, we get back to her. She's talking about Lexi and Chinx getting pimped out by the same nigga. And she's like, y'all getting pimped out by the same nigga at y'all big age. Like, that's crazy. But back on the bus, Wet is getting into it. Wet is doing her job. Like, we need Wet on the show. We need her. But she said, Lexi pretty much said, like, that's her nigga. And Chinx said that nigga's for the streets. Wet said, so he's not community dick. Pretty much, like, she's trying to figure out what is going on with y'all sharing the same dude. But Chinx ends up saying it's going to get handled when they get to the house. Chinx then starts taking off her shoes. Wet said, Lexi, look, she taking her shoes off. You need to get ready. I was cracking up. But Raven then asked him not to do it on the bus. At this point, I'm like, yeah, because y'all done had about 4 or 5 scuffles on this bus right now. Wait till y'all get off the bus so it can be a fair fight. But Chinx is now going off on fetish. Pretty much saying, like, what she said? She said, you was talking about Lexi in the club, but now you in her face. Fetish is pretty much telling Chinx she doing too much, bringing her in the mix, trying to get a storyline out for her. Wet then starts calling out Spicy Money about being quiet. She says that line that I could tell she's going to literally try and run into the ground for a moment. But she says she's Christ-like, not mice-like. Wet said the truth. I'm a Christian down. I might get on here and cuss and everything, but I'll repent for my sins. But I feel like there's nothing wrong with being Christ-like, but when you want a show like this, you catch what I'm saying. But they get to the house. Joseline welcomes them in. They walk in super excited. All the girls are excited. Joseline then makes them walk back outside because they walked in the house with shoes on. I don't walk in nobody's house with shoes on, not even my own. That's just something that I grew up with. But they come back in with covers on their shoes. Wet is being Wet. She's sitting there twerking and stuff. Joseline tells her to go outside. Wet said, I know you ain't serious. Joseline said, go outside and shut the fuck up. So she walks outside. I said, I don't like the way she treats her. I can't stand the way she treats Wet. But she outside being Wet, dancing, not taking anything serious, twerking, talking shit. Joseline's inside talking about she's sick of her. She gonna learn to shut the fuck up. She getting on her nerves. I'm like, yes, Wet could be somewhat annoying to some people, but she don't do it. I felt like she didn't do anything. Like, what is she doing? Everybody else is in there screaming and stuff. She essentially is doing the same thing. So I'm like, what is the issue? You can tell Joseline just likes bossing her around and like treating her like shit, and I can't stand it. But Des, I wrote this down. She looked like Estelita from, or at least she reminds me of Estelita from Love and Hip Hop. But Joseline then lets them know that they're going to a pool party tonight. She then asked Spicy Money, like, are you going through menopause? Like, what's going on with you? Joseline said that, like, you got lost during the party. I didn't even know you was there. Moni was pretty much saying that she was twerking in the pool. She's like, go ask Wet. Joseline says, like, your social media persona essentially is sexy, but in person, you just seem kind of conservative. But we need the sexiness. We need the confidence to come out with you being in the cabaret, potentially. So just bring it out. There's $50,000 on the line. Do a little bit more. Be a little bit more seen. And she pretty much says, like, I'm the only BBW here. I'm like, Big Envy's right there. She's right there. You're not the only one. But she gets in there, and Des is pretty much talking about Oceans, because Oceans is sitting there Oceans doing too much at this point. She's sitting there dick-eating Joseline, kissing her ass, pretty much. And Des is like, well, she was standing on business behind you, Joseline. Like, a bunch of them girls was pretty much co-signing that. And Joseline asks how. And Ocean says that she said in her casting tape that she was going to stand on business behind anybody, or stand on business on anybody that disrespects Joseline. I'm like, clown shit. But Joseline then asked, like, if somebody did it already. And I'm like, so the fact that she don't feel disrespected lets you know she wasn't disrespected. But okay. But then Oceans then brings up Neek talking the night before and said that they squabbled on the bus for her. And then said, Miss Ma'ams. I said, you're fucking grown. Like, why are you doing this? But Joseline obviously likes her because she loves anybody that's going to kiss her ass. But Neek ends up saying that she was drunk. Pretty much saying, like, I was drunk. Like, that's just why I was talking so much. But Joseline says, like, I want you to show your personality, but just zip it up whenever we're trying to get some shit done. That's valid. But Joseline then starts relating with them on her past as a stripper. Lets them know, I want to give y'all this opportunity to go on tour, change your life, give you this money. So she then lets them know, like, a few of y'all are going to be eliminated tonight, but she'd rather them have no fights at this pool party that they're about to go to. And she says, if y'all want to kick each other's ass before we get there, we got a backyard back here. Do that shit before we go. I don't see anything wrong with that, but they run off to go find their rooms. Wet Wet is still outside twerking, strutting, saying, y'all want a motherfucking show? I'm going to give you a show. She in the grass, lifting her leg up on the ground. She just entertaining. But Joseline then brings her back in the house. She comes slow strutting in there, doing her little wet thing. But she says, like, you talking about helping somebody out. Like, Joseline's pretty much saying, like, help me help you out. And Joseline and Wet said, like, you talking about helping somebody out. You said last season that she was going to get my teeth fixed last season. You ain't did shit about it. So let's talk about that. Well, okay. But Joseline then says, back up off me or you going to be leaving. Wet said, I'm not even threatening you. I'm just keeping it 100 on what you said that you didn't deliver on. That's valid. Like, if you said you was going to do it. But she said, I got text messages of you saying that she's going to do it. Joseline's pretty much saying, like, I don't give a fuck. Pack your shit. You can leave now, bitch, because you're not needed here. I said, if she wasn't needed here, then why did you bring her back? Joseline. But I'm glad you brought her back because we need her. She's needed. But I don't like I said, I don't like the way she does her. But Joseline ends up calling her lapdog, Drea, to get down there to get Wet out of her face. She, like the lapdog she does, puts some tap shoes on and gets to tapping. Wet is not worried about none of that bullshit she's talking about. Wet is telling her the truth about herself. Joseline then tells her to walk away. And Wet says, let me walk away then. Bye, ho. And then walked out the door and starts popping her shit outside on the curb. Joseline's in there talking about Wet to the girls. Wet is pretty much saying, I'm the star of this show. I'm the star on this bitch. I helped you build the cabaret. You don't cross the motherfuckers that helped you build this shit that you profiting off of. She pretty much says, like, when people think about the cabaret, they think of Wet because I'm so motherfucking wet, bitch. I was dying. But she ain't lying. When you think about the cabaret, there's certain girls that you think of. You think of her. I think of Big Lex. I think of Lucky. I think of Daisy. Those are the girls that I think of when I think of the cabaret. So she's not lying. But all of a sudden, the cops pull up. Don't know if somebody in the neighborhood called the cops. Regardless, they was there. Joseline tells the girls to go upstairs to their room. They start running upstairs. Joseline's on probation, obviously, so she starts walking away. But Wet, she's sitting in the car crying to the police. You can tell she's going through it. She's upset. But Joseline then brings the girls back downstairs once they left, which I hope Wet did not leave for the season. We don't know for sure, but we'll find out. But Joseline brings the girls down. Raven and Diamond, they're pretty much playing around while she's talking. And she separates them, tells them, y'all need to be away from each other. And if y'all get back together and start being around each other, I'm sending y'all home because y'all getting on my nerves. Joseline then tells the girls, if y'all got an issue, run the shit right now. Because once we go outside, we outside. We not doing it. Chinx drops her shit. Tell Lexi, come on, let's go. They both throw these weak-ass little post-ups up. And they both started swinging. Titties flying everywhere. But we didn't get to see the full, but they wrestling on some WWE shit. But next week, they go to the party. The party actually looks like a party. A party. There's people there that look like they might not be Zeus affiliates, but who knows? But we get Moni and Raven getting into it on the bus. Eliminations are happening. There's 4 girls that are leaving, but they brought in 2 girls from the party who then got to have a fight with Ocean's Big Envy and Neek. Isis and Drea getting into it again, which I hope Isis did her big one. But another good episode. Another good episode. If y'all got this far and have not subscribed already, please do that. Also, if you did not like the video, please do that. And get in the comments. But I will see y'all next Sunday. I'm going to be there next Sunday because Baddies is done. I will actually be able to drop it on time. So I'll see y'all then. Peace.